Start recording. Okay, so this is the Middlemere Town Hall. I'm your host, Skanky J, also known as Agrode, who is currently witness number 11. I have on the show with me EM3. EM3, what do you want to talk about tonight? Thank you for coming on the show, and what's on your mind?
Well, you were asking for volunteers, and I've kind of been active in voicing different opinions lately, so I didn't know if you might want to pick my brain on talking about any of it further. Otherwise, we'll think of something.
Sure. Well, okay, so I went on Votu. I actually don't know what that stands for. Do you know what the VOT? It's VOTO, VOTU, TU. You know what it stands for?
I actually do not either.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
don't I don't know what that means, but I was on Votu, which is Beans's podcast, Voices of the Underground. Okay, so that's her podcast. Thanks for those to Lexi and Team Steam. And one of the things that I was there to go talk about, I'm basically defending bidbots. And I think that bidbots represent a way that investors can get a return on their income. I think it's a good thing. I think if we do it smartly as a community and if we run ethical businesses doing it, it's actually a very handy and useful tool. And if we are lackadaisical or don't care or support or basically have unethical business practices, it can be a bad thing. But a bidbot to me is just a tool, and if we use it the right way, I think it can help investors and help this community. That is my basic sentiment. But EM3, you've had some opposite things to say. So what's on your mind? Why don't you like bidbots, and why? I don't know how strongly you're going to go, but why do you think that they're bad for the platform?
Oh, I definitely would not say that I think that bid bots specifically are bad for the platform. I have concerns about the use of the upvote bots. So whether it be the Minnow Booster style or the bid bot style, um, on that, I suggested, and I know it's not as easy as just a suggestion, but a white list that all of them use a similar white or use the same white list. It's going to take a lot of work and maybe even money, and so they would all contribute to one white list. So they would share the burden of the cost or whatever. But bid bots. So I just have, like, to me, and part of it has to do with the way I am with money and everything. If I'm going to spend $5, I want to know what I'm getting back. If I'm going to spend $10, I want to know what I'm getting back. I think the bid bots, they kind of go in with a little bit of a gambling mentality. People that like to throw something out there hoping that they'll hit it big, they like the bid bots because to them it's a chance to double their money or to hit it big or whatever. And that's just not my style. Um, so I had a discussion on your post about bid bots with the Marky Mark, and like he was, basically saying, oh, I'm just about, or I guess he was saying right now I'm losing money, and he was telling me, how hard it was to run a bid bot and everything, basically, or at least for him. And so I'm like, well, why even do it? Because to me, and many other people have brought up the point that for um, new users who don't maybe quite understand it, or people with the second English as a second language, they may not understand how it exactly works. And I think there's a lot of times when all somebody may have is 50 cent SPD, and they'll bid it, and then they'll get like a 35 cent upvote, and so it wasn't a good return on investment for them.
So whose
And the
whose
people,
responsibility is that?
well, okay, so there's one answer that could say the free market and whatever people have. The other side could say, well, what is my point? If I as a business person am just here to make a profit, well then let the free market decide. That answer's fine. If I'm actually trying to provide a service to the minnows, to me, then setting a price, and anybody who's willing to pay that price, setting a price with a set return, and anybody who's willing to pay that, that to me is a little bit more ethical, um, because I keep bringing up the point that the downside to somebody using a bid bot, if they don't hit it big, is that some idiot that I can't control, and it's not always an idiot. Sometimes it's just somebody who's gaming 100% of every single bid bot to get their post up to $30. So they're hitting every single bid bot. They don't care how much they spend because they think, or they know, if they can get their post up to a certain amount, that they'll get more traffic and everything else. So they'll, on a $5 upvote from that bid bot, they'll spend $5, and anybody else who's put in money prior to that, they get shafted. That's my concern. That it's fine for gambling or risking, but it's just not the best model for helping the minnows.
And until it is, I mean, if you do this kind of in the middle of the night when Steam isn't very active and you hit booster at the right time, you could make, I don't know, $250 or 2,500 percent return on your investment. I mean, so I agree with you. I hear your points as a cautious investor, and I would say there is a gambling aspect because you don't know what other people are going to do, and some people don't make smart financial decisions. So like when I come on the radio, I'll tell people like, hey, Love Juice is paying out like a little bit over $1 right now. I don't suggest bidding more than that for certain, right? Like I've tried to be upfront with people about what the maximum thing is. And now that Yavamat has his bot tracker up and it's a nice and easy to read and pretty simple, that makes a ton of sense to me. So just point people to that and we can all have nice things, right? You wait until pretty close to the end of the round and you bid only on the ones that will give you a profit and hopefully a comfortable profit. And you can make sure that you are getting more than a 36% guaranteed return if you were using these things wisely. But I would say, rather than, I didn't really mean the free market. The free market is this nebulous thing. I would have said very specifically the consumer or the person purchasing the service, the ownership is on them to make smart financial decisions for themselves. And any investment that you make where you're not aware of the risks and you don't know how to mitigate them, then honestly, that's sort of on you, because then you are just sort of recklessly gambling as opposed to making a wise financial investment. So again, I'd say these things can be very powerful and give you an amazing return, but you just have to be smart about how you use them.
Okay, yes. Again, I kind of fall back on the example that even when I'm being smart, it can easily be outside of my control. It just takes one person coming in 1 second behind me, with a vote that screws everything up.
No, that's totally true and totally fair, and it is much more likely to happen at the beginning of a vote cycle than at the end. So an average vote cycle is 2 hours and 40 minutes. So if you wait until 2 hours and 37 minutes in, which you can track using that site, and you leave yourself 1 or 2 minutes to actually get that transfer through, just in case your internet is slow or you can't find your password or something, and you vote only in that last 3-minute window, the risk of that goes down substantially.
Right. Now, and most people, though, with a 25-cent vote or a 50-cent or even a $2 vote, aren't going to spend that much time on it. Because I have tried doing that a couple times. I did that recently with the kitty bot just to see, how things would go, since that one's getting started. I played with it. But most people won't go through the effort. And you're right. I mean, so then if they're not going to go through the effort, it's on them.
Well, yeah, it's on them. It's not on the owner at that point. Like, there's tools that are out there. They're public. They're free. And I'm not even talking about the bid bot. I really mean that Steam bot tracker. Like, It's not
But
that hard to
I
find it.
guess, yeah, okay. I guess it just depends. Like here, my comparison, I just came up with this would be processed food, Doritos or something. They taste good. Um, you know, they'll last on the shelf for a while, but to be honest, they provide such little nutritional value. And for the expense, they're cheaper than sometimes higher quality food, and so a lot of people will fall back and use them. Um, but they're such a low choice, and,
No,
and the
again, it
and it
depends
is
on how it's used. If somebody has great content and I want to support that great content, and I go put a used booster to go do it, and I can put $30 on their post and support them, then actually I can get a great post supported by a lot of money that I might not have been able to do otherwise. So,
right,
how else could
right.
I have done that if these tools don't exist?
Okay, no, no, that's true. You kind of switched over a little bit sideways with me on that. So let's switch over then to just vote bots in general. Um, I in some ways I still have reservations about whether they're that great for the platform, and would we be better off without them. But I can easily concede for a moment that they have their purpose and everything. Um, and I don't think in 1 second that it would be a small task, but I still think that a maintained whitelist or something would be a much more ethical use. If we're going to have them, let's do it the right way, especially as witnesses, because I would say that witnesses are those who believe in they believe in Steam, and they want to see the best thing for the platform. Otherwise, they wouldn't be spending their time and energy and money and everything to be running the witness nodes and everything else.
Yeah,
So
I'm more inclined to do blacklists than I am to do whitelists. I'd rather do sort
it'd be
of a
harder.
I'd rather do a innocent until proven guilty kind of thing, and not create unneeded or unnecessary burdens on people to do business. I'd rather just say these people are known shit posters, plagiarists, and generally bad people. Let's go exclude them or mute
I
them,
guess,
and otherwise
yeah,
just let it run.
I guess the reason why I would say a white list would be like 10 times more effective is because, so if you are a shit poster, but somehow you've managed to accumulate 100 SBD and they blacklist that account, it's not hard to start a new account and then transfer the SBD over there and start shit posting again. You get by with it for a week or two, they blacklist you again, you keep doing it. So you're chasing the rabbit when you do it like that. Whereas if you're whitelisting, now, oh, I guess a caveat is we could do it so that, you know, the blacklist is for like $2 upvotes and below. And to do upvotes above $2, you need to be on the white list. And so you would still be able to do a lot of these small votes, and it would, most people don't ever do anything more than a $2 purchase and everything. So you wouldn't be dealing with as much volume. But this way it would prevent substantial abuse.
So I can actually consent to that. I think that's a good plan. I do think that you have to get to a certain stage before that starts making any sense. So like MSP-Bidbot that I put out, it now has 9,000 Steam power on it. I mean, that's basically nothing. Like I know minnows don't want to hear that's nothing, but it's not. That's a very small amount of voting power on this platform. So I wouldn't like it. I don't even know what the vote is, but it's pretty small. I have this damn vote MSP Bidbot. It does 88 cents, right? Like it's not raping the pool at 88 cents. So like yeah,
Right.
when
Yep.
this thing starts, if enough people invest in this, where it's doing $20 upvotes or more, and it's doing that 10 times a day, then okay, then I'm willing at that point to say let's start whitelisting people for the larger votes and figure out if there's a way to do that and work with various devs to make this stuff better. I'm okay with that. But as long as this thing is sitting at like 88 cents, I just can't get behind thinking we need to do all of this work around it. At some point, if like, for Booster to do that, for some of these other monsters, Build a Whale to do that, okay, Appreciator, fine, that makes a lot of sense. But like, I don't know. Right now, it just
Which
seems pretty absurd for an 88-cent vote to go through all that.
Right. Which the thing is, if we could, present our argument and get the community behind it, and if it was supported and we brought it to all the big guys, and if they did do a white list, um, then I mean, I would hope. I don't know how bots exactly work if they're all using the same language and everything else, but
Almost
I would
all of
hope.
them. Minnow Booster is
Yeah. So
basically the only one that's using something different, as far as I know. They are all using a program called DrOtto. And if you give me a second, DrOtto, Inertia, Vote Bidding Bot, they're all using this. And so you can see that there. And I guess there's also the GitHub repository. And here's the GitHub repository there. So
right.
nearly all of them are using that. So maybe what we do is we encourage Inertia to go apply for a Utopian IO bot vote to go do some dev work on his open source software to make it so that his bidbot is whitelistable. I know right this second it is blacklistable. David is here. Is David in the
Yeah.
audience?
The programming, I don't think will be the hardest part on the whitelist. It's going to be it's going to take real people, real eyes, and everything, going through accounts, and that's going to take time and volunteers and effort and everything. But if at least the big guys do it, once they do it, everybody can utilize that whitelist, all the bid bots or the upvote bots, not even necessarily the bid bots, but all the upvote bots can utilize that same list. That the work only has to be done one time, which is something nice.
No, that sounds quite good. Um, so I'm on board. Like if there's a whitelist and I can just have it be part of the bot that I download, I'm pretty okay with it. If I have to do some things to make that happen, I'm pretty okay with that too. Maybe I go put in a task request and ask people to go build onto the GitHub repository to make it so that there's a whitelist. Which actually, maybe I'll put this back on you because you're fighting for this, and it actually makes more sense for minnows to do this than it does for whales, for reasons I won't go into now. But I would have you looked at Utopian-IO? Have you been on there?
This is not ironic, but apropos, because I was speaking with somebody, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, about Utopia, and that I need to look at it more closely and maybe do some stuff. So
Good.
now you're telling
Well,
me I need to. So
well, I'm
it's
giving
good
you
encouragement.
usually this is my life theory. When I look around and I think, you know what, somebody really ought to go do X, I usually just say to myself, Aggie, you're the guy, just go do X. Um, so that's what I want to go. I want to encourage you to just, if you have that need and burning desire to go fix this, stop. You don't have to wait for somebody else. Go into Utopian, build a task. It's going to alert all these devs. You'll get paid for making the task, and then start getting that whitelist built. And then if you need me to go play test it, I'll guinea pig that. And then we can go take it to Marky Mark for Build a Whale, and we can take it to Inertia and Fierce to Kin for Booster. I don't know who's running Appreciator, but we can make that happen. I'll
Very
support it.
cool.
I'm not against it. I just don't want to say like Bitbots are bad, never use them, they're horrible, kick out all the investors that are putting money into them. Like that's dumb to me. But running
No,
ethical businesses, I think is good. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying that I've run into some attitudes lately that are like really anti-investor, and it's like, we want these guys around, and if they can make money doing this, then they're going to buy it and hold it, and that's how your price goes up. So maybe we should stop shitting on the people that are doing it. Again, not directed specifically at you, but that's some of what I've been encountering and trying to change some perspectives on, that this is an investment opportunity and it's good for the platform.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. There's been a couple of conversations I've had recently where, I start kind of speaking my mind on it or whatnot, and then the person says, yeah, and the next thing I know, they're just about speaking like a socialist thing or whatever. So we should go and take all the money from all the big whales and just give it to all the minnows, and everybody will be happy. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Rock
So,
on. All right, EM3. I have David Packman with me here, and this is a good conclusion of where I think we got to. I can continue this discussion, but I did promise David that at about 9:30 he'd go on. So thank you so much for coming on. If you have a final thought you'd like to share, come share it.
No, that's it. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, that was EM3. I'm going to go stop my recording for just half a second here. And then, oops, shit. Da, 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 da.